And welcome into the program, your game plan for retirement with Northwestern Ohio's resource for a common sense approach to planning for your financial, investment, and retirement futures, formulating the plan to help you achieve and accomplish your important goals, ladies and gentlemen. He is Chris McIntire, president and founder of McIntire Retirement Services. Chris, we always appreciate the time that you spend with us, shedding some light on the things that we need to be doing in order to accomplish those goals and be more successful in retirement. And on that theme, we've got a list today of the 10 things people do to be successful in retirement. So once again, Chris, important information here that proactive savers and investors need to be aware of, and we appreciate you bringing it to the airwaves and being here for to be a resource for those planners and savers.
Hey, my pleasure, Peter. Yep, and it's always we always have these honey-do lists, right, in retirement and in our normal lives as well. So we'll continue on with that theme here today too, buddy.
I like lists, Chris. My wife often sends me to the grocery store, and I always ask her to please make me a list so that I don't forget any of the items that she is sending me there for and have to make repeat trips. When it comes to retirement, Chris, we don't want to make repeat trips there either. We want to get it right the first time. So I think lists like this are very helpful and important. So let's go ahead and kick it off, Chris, that with any worker making their way to retirement, there are certain things that we need to do in order to be successful. And the number one item on your list is understanding that income is our biggest wealth building tool. It seems simple enough, but I think the importance of this cannot be understated.
Yeah, and the disciplined approach to living on a budget during your working years, and even, raising kids and everything that you have to do there. And as you get, let's say the kids have moved on, you've got your income coming in, making sure you're maxing out those retirement contributions out of your income. Living below your means is a good example of that, saying, well, we're saving an awful lot of money. We could be doing things differently, but we want to retire early. So, there's a plus, there's always a trade-off for things you do versus, all right, we're spending everything that comes in and hopefully, something happens and our retirement will be okay.
Yeah.
Versus that disciplined approach of, I am saving 15% of my income for my retirement and, on a very disciplined approach there because, hey, let's face it, life is what happens to plans sometimes.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I'm 20 years or so away from an ideal intended retirement kind of age. So I am trying to do the best I can in getting those funds set aside using the 401ks and the Roth IRAs and such. But I could not do that without the paycheck, right? Without having that consistent, reliable paycheck. And during our working career, we'll do just about anything possible not to touch the 401ks and the IRAs, to leave them alone and let them grow and understand that the market's going to move, but pick up extra jobs, work extra hours, strive for pay increases. All of those things are on the income side. The income is what pays the bills and what supports the ability to make those contributions to those important retirement accounts.
Yeah, without question, Peter, and that again, monthly budget, disciplined investing, maxing out those 401k type contributions, and, people have a plan for investing while they're working. They don't typically pay as much attention to it and, make emotional decisions like I'm going to cash out, and get into cash. We got an election coming up right now. That's something that we hear a lot about right now is, well, what's going to go on with this presidential cycle? And, look, let's grant it. This one is certainly, the U.S. has taken a step backwards probably in peaceful, normal relations here where now we're chasing and persecuting, previous presidents. So, we're kind of going down a slippery slope and I don't care what party you belong to, we're going down a different path that, probably isn't healthy. That being said, having that disciplined approach and, investors hopefully will be able to see through that and, continue on putting money to work, because some people are going to get nervous and say, I'm not putting any more money in until after the election. And then all of a sudden they start spending that money instead of investing that money. And that's certainly, can hurt your long-term goals by all means, by giving up on a plan that had been working out very well for you because of the three guys you play golf with, for example, convinced you to change your investment strategy. And, probably the three of them aren't in professional investors or something like that, Peter. So just trying to cut through the emotion there. That's my point in
Yeah.
that dialogue.
I get it. And sure, this election does seem contentious, but we've had contentious elections before. We've had pretty wild political environments in times past. And yet, Chris, the market has survived. Even if there's volatility, it does not seem as much directed by the results of a single political election as it does kind of the monetary and fiscal policy that the government and the Fed is trying to implement over a longer period of time. And even when we've seen those periods of volatility, Chris, not only has the market always come back, it's always surpassed previous highs. So I think that you are right. It's just the regular process, the ongoing contributions, that number two on the list here of the 10 things people do to be successful in retirement. You've sort of hit on this, but make a monthly budget and stick to it, and then invest, number three, 15% of their household income into those retirement accounts. That's pretty much regardless of the political environment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it's going to ebb and flow over the course of time. We had a financial crisis in 2008, and most people don't even remember that anymore, because those people that are retiring now, that was a great buying opportunity if they kept putting money into their 401k because stocks were at very low prices. So, over the long haul, you're taking advantage of continuing to put those dollars in as the market does have its declines. And so, it kind of ties in with number four on the list here is, having a long-term vision for investing. Because, if you think of it, if somebody's going to retire today at, say, let's just say 65 years old, and if it's a married couple, pretty good chance one of them is going to be alive in the upper 80s to early 90s. Okay. I got a 90-year-old dad and a 95-year-old father-in-law as an example. And, investing so conservatively, in your retirement can also be a hindrance because you miss long-term opportunities. So many people listening to the show today, we can create a visual and say, okay, all right, break it down into three buckets. I've got a safe money bucket, a low to moderate risk money bucket, and then a higher risk bucket. So if you've got 10 years to go until you need that money, that's longer term, higher risk dollars you could make the argument for. And not to discount the importance of having safety and lower to moderate risk investments as well, and then allocate and readjust those, on an ongoing basis. That would be that disciplined approach to investing, Peter.
Good genes on both sides of the family there, Chris. Two gentlemen into their 90s. Wow, you've got a plan for the long haul then yourself, Chris, as we all probably should appropriately do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back up and remind you that Chris McIntire, while we're moving through this list that is good for general informational purposes, the 10 things that people do to be successful in retirement, that Chris McIntire will help you put together your game plan for retirement and cover all of the items on this list and then some, helping you to better understand the investments that you currently own, the tools that you have available, how to make the most of each and every one of them to formulate the plan to help you achieve and accomplish that ideal vision of retirement, to work toward your goals. If you'd like to take advantage, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. Even if you have just a couple quick questions on your mind, you can call and ask the team there at McIntire Retirement Services. And as an extension, no cost, no obligation for a complimentary review, a consultation to help you design your game plan for retirement. Go through a pretty detailed forensic financial analysis of what you have now, understand the risks that you're taking, the fees that you're paying, the taxes that you may be liable for, and then formulate the plan, bringing the pieces together to help you address the income that you'll need in retirement, the investments that you'll have available, the tax liabilities that you might have, addressing healthcare and legacy planning. All of that goes into the game plan for retirement. So again, you can take advantage of that by calling now, 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194, or visit online, McIntyre McIntyreRetirementServices.com. Not to belabor the point too long here, Chris, but that number 4 that you mentioned, that people who are successful in retirement or planning for retirement have that long-term vision. That long-term vision has to continue to change and adapt. The horizon keeps expanding, right? Because long-term vision at 30 may be what we want to accomplish at 50 or 55. Once we get to 50 or 55, we need to continue to have that long-term vision and begin talking about 65, 70, 75 and beyond, right?
Oh yeah, no question about it. And like Peter, you said you got 20 years to go to retirement. So, I know you well enough, but you can be an aggressive investor, All right. Like you say, fast forward 20 years from now, it's not going to be about trying to double your money in the next 5 to 7 years. It's going to be about, all right, I've got to preserve this dollar amount and create income off of it. This dollar amount over here, maybe I can continue to invest for longer growth. So like you said, you're going to go through different phases of money. You're in the accumulation phase. I'm 59. I'm, obviously getting closer to the distribution phase where, if we, eventually, kind of phase ourselves out or whatever you want to say, we transition into, okay, now we need to create income off of the investments that we have saved, where right now our wages and, the business obviously, does that for us. So, that's a big shift. I'm a stock guy. I love dividend stocks. We talk about it that's the bulk of where, I like to put our dollars because I know I'm getting work for my money no matter what, and I don't have to do anything for it.
Well, we ourselves, as well as life and time, continue to move on, and therefore the plan needs to continue to change and evolve. You should have a plan today, but continue to change and evolve that over time. And again, to get that plan put together or to review your current plan, pick up the phone, give Chris McIntire a call, 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. Number 5, Chris, those that are successful in retirement, you won't find retirement savvy people spending more money than they make. Nope, they live below their means. And according to a national study of millionaires, a couple of these things actually surprised me. 94% of millionaires live on less than they make. That didn't surprise me, but buy modest houses, pay cash for vehicles and vacations. And the study even showed that 93% of millionaires, Chris, still use coupons. So they didn't get to be millionaires because they were dumb with money. They are financially savvy people and save money where they can.
Sure. Yeah. My uncle's a great example of that. He's very good and very stringent on running with a budget. He could certainly live, above his means there a little bit. And we try to encourage him to, but, clipping coupons, we take coupons when we go to the store. Robin's always looking on, whatever app, whatever store we're going to. And, at the end of it, she says, hey, save $15. And, and then you go over and get some gas and you get your gas a little bit cheaper. And, those things add up, no question about it. Easy savings right there. And, and living below your means can sometimes be a challenge because a lot of folks, they'll get to retirement and they're like, well, we didn't save quite enough, but we still want to go do some things. We're heading down to Florida, and they, can do some harm to their long-term retirement. And, like we tell folks is, look, if you're going to retire and you want to do some traveling, make sure you're budgeting for that because a lot of people will spend more money early in retirement taking those trips and things like that. And then, later on in retirement when health or something, just says, all right, we're going to be more, stationary, stay around the house. We're not going to Florida for 3 months a year, spending an extra $25,000 like it might cost you to rent a place down there for a month or two. And, you typically go out to eat a lot more and things like that. That may happen from 65 to 75. And then from 75 on, you're not spending that dollars, at least on travel. Could certainly make an argument that dollars might shift toward healthcare expenses and so forth.
Yeah. the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. I've
The
heard it
no-go
dubbed,
years.
Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
kind
I got
kind
a
of.
client who'll be shaking his head right now. Yep. That's
Yeah.
his, he likes that analogy as well.
Yep, yep. The different phases that we move through, although things get more expensive over time. So even in those slow go and no go years, Chris, we could be spending just as much, in some cases more, which is why we need to try to get as much there for us as possible. And number 6 on your list, people who are successful in retirement during their working careers. Keep their hands off their 401k. Don't treat it like a piggy bank, Chris. I think this happens far too often where people are using it for loans, for projects, just cashing it out when they want to. That 401k, if we miss a period of time there, we're missing out on the last part of that yield curve of the time value of money where we really get the growth that we need. So keep your hands off the 401k and don't take it out as a loan or a withdrawal, because you face pretty stiff penalties and tax consequences if you do take it as a withdrawal. Any further thoughts on that one, Chris?
I just, I concur 100% with you on there. And, the government has made some, exceptions to allow people to go in and access some of the 401ks for first-time home buyers and things like that. And, we can make an argument that, all right, there's a good piece to that. The downside is the long-term aspect of that. So it's always nice to save that emergency fund outside of your 401k, obviously. And, avoid 10% early withdrawal penalties. But yeah, you made a great analogy there, Peter. Hands
Right.
off until you retire.
I just remember, Chris, once upon a time, a young self, not as financially savvy, needed a car, had his first 401k and cashed that out and pulled that out. Did not get out of it nearly what I had expected. And that car is long gone. Wish those dollars were still there growing for me. So keep the hands off the 401k. Learn from others' mistakes, ladies and gentlemen, and personal testament there. It could have been much further ahead at this point. It seemed like insignificant kind of money at the time, but the value of the growth on that probably would have been pretty significant by today. Also, Chris, want to stay away from get rich quick investments, because often get rich quick investments actually lead to going broke quick.
Yeah, they certainly can, and some of this would probably be like, you know, uh, cryptocurrency just as it fell or things like that, that's kind of a new, a new
I tend to think of
strategy.
those NFTs that were all
Yeah.
the rage and fad during the early onset of the COVID years, that were going for millions and millions of dollars for some digital file that now I believe there's essentially no market for those.
Sure, and those SPACs that were out there, and a lot of those ended up going bust. I forget what it needs, special, I never touched them, but a couple of clients that were involved in them.
Yeah.
Meme stocks, people still doing this GameStop and whatnot. That's been in the news here lately as well. And look what made Warren Buffett very successful. Low and slow, good quality companies. Reinvest dividends, adjust, find good quality fixed income for you on your bond portion and things along those lines. And, work within your true risk tolerance. And your true risk tolerance is not when the market's going up 30%, it's when the market's going down 30%.
Yeah, speaking of Warren Buffett, Chris, that one day glitch on the New York Stock Exchange for
Yeah,
the Berkshire Hathaway at more than a 99% off discount. Even that is an example of this one. Stay away from the get rich quick schemes, because the people who thought that they were getting a real deal on those Berkshire Hathaway deals at under $1,000 when the stock had previously been what, like $620,000. New York
right.
Stock Exchange, in fact, not honoring those orders. You're not getting that deal. So I wonder where the line starts for the luxury yacht returns, right?
Exactly. Good point there. Yep. And and algorithms and all of that are wonderful until they stop working, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, Chris, wrapping up the list here, we've got 8, 9, and 10 on your list, but people who are successful in a retirement or in retirement have a plan and update it when they need to. They work together with their spouse if they're married, and they meet regularly with their investment professional. All of these things, Chris, I think are vitally important for anyone with expectations of a successful retirement, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I'm an investment professional and we always say, look, it's a two-way relationship. If something comes up, please give us a call as well. We don't know what's going on in your daily life and a relationship obviously is good communication on both halves. So stay in contact there. Uh, Update your plan. Life events may change. You may inherit some dollars that can change things, or you may need to help your parents as they age and need care and whatnot, that you're helping them, and that's kind of where Robin and I are at now. We're helping our parents with both sets to stay home and have people keep an eye on them. And, everybody wants to be in their home, no question about it. Um, and updating those estate planning documents is very important as well, too. The powers of attorney, the living wills, the HIPAA documents as you get older and you have some health issues, make sure you've got those things in place so it's not a crisis, and people that have been successful, they're not lucky, I mean, they prepared and were in places when opportunities arose. And so preparation is key for sure. We're up here on the shore of Lake Erie. The mantra from the U.S. Coast Guard is Semper Paratus, always prepared.
Well, Chris, I think that list is very important. 10 things that people do to be successful in retirement. Circling back to number one here. Last things first and first things last. Income is your biggest wealth building tool. I think the fact of that cannot be understated. But you also wanted to add one of these: once we are in retirement, that doesn't change, right? In fact, income is not only our biggest wealth building tool, but in retirement, it is also our biggest wealth preserving tool. Can care to explain?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, in your retirement, you're living off of your income, and people that have pensions and good Social Security benefits know exactly what I'm talking about because, they're basically, most of those folks are living off of their pensions and Social Security benefits. That's their fixed income coming in. That's where they base their lifestyle off of. For those that don't have pensions, you have to utilize your 401k and other savings to create that stream of income. And what are all the methods that you can use to create that stream of income? Higher interest rates right now. Wall Street Journal had an article today that people are able to create more income. Annuity payouts have skyrocketed to help us combat that 4% rule that's out there now. Good quality dividend stocks, good quality bonds paying good interest rates, a number of different things. So again, shifting from accumulation so much in growth stocks to income stocks, income creating investment strategies and annuities to get that, some of those contractual guarantees is certainly, something for folks to consider. And, not to put all your eggs in any one particular basket. We're not endorsing any single strategy here on the radio show, folks, but just to understand there are a lot of tools in this toolbox. Which ones work best in your in your case?
Yeah, and Chris, the interest rates, the income cash flow payout rates, those are higher now than they have been in quite some time, at least over the last 20 years or so, and significantly higher than what the financial world, kind of the rules of thumb, the guidelines for retirement have indicated for more than the last 30 years. That 4% rule that was incepted back in the early 1990s said that we should be able to generate a 4% cash flow and hopefully not run out of money over the course of retirement. Today's payout rates, interest rates allow for a much higher cash flow rate, or to generate the same amount of income with less dollars, right? If there's not really been a better time for somebody who's looking to be efficient and leverage their money to create that income that we depend on in retirement.
Yeah, you got it right. And Peter, you made a great analogy there. We can create more cash flow with less money. That's what's nice about increasing payouts right now. And that frees up hundreds of thousands of dollars in somebody's case. When we can get a 7% payout versus the 4% rule of thumb, think how much less money it takes to create the cash flow needs at 7% versus 4%.
Yeah, that's not 3% more money. That's 75% more money from that same dollar in
Yeah.
retirement, right, Chris?
Yeah, and think about that for a minute, guys. So if you need, $40,000 out of $1 million, that's a 4% rule. If you can get a 7% payout, you need what, you know, $550,000 basically to do that. That's $400,000 less you need to create that income from, right? There's
Now
the
is a good
condo
time
in
to
Fort
look.
Myers.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, indeed. But now is a good time if you've got older 401ks, if you are looking to make that transition into retirement, maybe even already retired, if you've attained age 59 and a half, another critical milestone, a benchmark age where you can begin to control your money more and formulate that retirement plan, put that in place. So if any of those apply to you and you want to take a look at, well, how am I going to continue to have that income that has been my biggest wealth building and will be my biggest wealth preserving tool throughout retirement? Now's a great time to look at taking your finite amount of money, how much do you have saved, and how much income can you generate from that on a consistent, durable, dependable basis. Give Chris McIntire a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. 800-868-1194. You spoke about pensions and Social Security, Chris, as we are talking about being successful in retirement. Just a few minutes here that the Social Security Administration puts out an annual fact sheet. 2024, of course, we're already here, but retirees on Social Security saw a 3.2% COLA for 2024. By the way, that cost of living adjustment, Chris, that applies to people who have not yet claimed and collected also, right? It's not like when we hear about this COLA, we need to rush out and claim and collect in order for it to apply. If
That
we look at our numbers, they are also going to be adjusted for that cost of living adjustment as well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they use your averaged index monthly earnings, so index for inflation. And I know some people look at us on the podcast here, so very good piece of information there. Fact sheet. You can just probably Google it and take you to the link of the Social Security webpage. And very interesting here because if you're working part time, in collecting Social Security early, so at age 62 in 2024, you can make $22,000 a year. So we're getting up there. We're almost at $2,000 a month. I remember it was $15,000. It just didn't seem like all that long ago. So more people can retire earlier, and they want to get a part-time job to cover maybe their health insurance until they hit 65. So getting much easier to get some decent paying part-time work now and still collect your Social Security benefit without a penalty before your full retirement age, Peter.
Right. Yeah. Not that 22,000 is going to cover everything that most people are going to need, but you can work and earn that $22,320 per year plus claim and collect the Social Security. Although, Chris, you often talk to people and help them sort through this and optimize their Social Security decision. It might not be a great decision to claim and collect early if we expect to earn substantially more than that $22,320 limit, because then we encounter penalties, right?
That is correct. Yeah. Yep. So you got to do some careful analysis here. We don't have enough time to cover all the details on it, but we've got some nice software. We've got our guys at Premier Planning down in Cincinnati that help us with the Social Security because the one gentleman ran one of the Social Security offices. So it's really nice to have some good resources when we hit those, unique situations, if you will. And so we can help people solve a lot of problems. We have Denise Appleby on the IRA side when we get into some technical aspects. So, we're all smart people, wise people know when they need to bring in some other experts to, help solve specific individual problems as well, buddy.
Well, if you would like to talk with Chris McIntire, he's got a team of resources behind him and can help you better understand your current investments, the tools that you have available, how to make the most of them, the risks that you're taking, the fees that you're paying, the taxes that you may be liable for, how to be as prepared as possible for retirement and as successful as possible throughout retirement. By putting together a game plan for retirement, and then helping you to monitor it, review it, update it as needed on an ongoing basis. The true value of having Chris McIntire as your resource here. Northwestern Ohio, so many proactive planners, savers, investors have taken advantage of the offer for that complimentary review and to get that game plan for retirement put together, but so many more need to. So pick up the phone now, no cost, no obligation. 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. 800-868-1194 or online at McIntireRetirementServices.com. Chris McIntire, McIntireRetirementServices.com, 800-868-1194. And Chris, we always appreciate the time.
Hey, buddy, good to be with you. Everybody have a nice weekend out there. Stay safe. Thanks for listening today.
Tune into Chris McIntire's full radio program and visit McIntireRetirementServices.com for many additional valuable resources, including other great episodes of Game Plan for Retirement with Chris McIntire. Be sure to subscribe.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.